Ci riproviamo. La saltiamo sta parte? Sì, però una minchia, cioè veramente, vabbè. No, la vuoi rivedere, Ren? Per arrivare al momento in cui dobbiamo fare qualcosa e scoprire che non possiamo fare. Quindi vuoi rivedere di nuovo un...
Cap's log,
Vabbè,
stardate
sto zitto.
57921.4. The crew is restless. After spending too many months piecing our ship back together, we're finally about to venture out on a new mission. And the crew isn't letting this unprecedented ion storm slow them down. They're ready for something different. I know I am. Perhaps more than any of them. Fortunately, nothing ever stays the same. It's entropy, the nature of the universe. Change is inevitable. And while entropy says order gives way to chaos, in this case, change is good. Our new first officer is en route to the Resolute. Jara Rydek. I know she'll bring a welcome dose of new blood to the crew.
Ha funzionato, ragazzi.
Thanks.
No problem.
I'm not great with flying. But these little shuttles are the worst.
You don't
No,
like
ma-
flying. And yet, you joined Starfleet.
There's a reason I'm not a pilot.
You should try it sometime.
Vi giuro che ho scelto la prima cosa a caso perché ho provato uno, cioè non...
Sorry, I'm a
Vabbè.
little anxious.
Dobbiamo
I
capire
hadn't
come.
noticed.
I'm on my way to my first assignment. When we get to the starbase, I'm transferring on to the Resolute.
So am I.
It won't be easy for Jara to step in at the 11th
Oh,
hour.
una Miranda class, davvero?
But if she's half the officer I knew she could
Una
become,
Excelsior class,
at
ottimo.
Starfleet Academy, she'll be the XO this ship needs right now.
E poi robaccia. No, vabbè, dai. Posso scegliere la Miranda? C'ho un'affezione. No, niente, vabbè. Quella è la... No, non è la... Excelsior. Dannazione. No, ti prego, non quel coso. Change of station. Ok. Prima missione, capire come si fanno le scelte nei dialoghi. Check in security. Ok, allora posso muovermi? No. No, dai, non mi dire che no. Ragazzi, ho un gamepad ma non posso muovermi. Davvero? No, non è possibile. No, dai. Non... Nessuno dei tasti del pad mi permette di muovermi. Io ti guardo anche rivedere, ma in realtà non è la tastiera. Sì, è la tastiera. Sì, ho capito, ma... Qualcuno mi deve spiegare. Ok? Movimento. Vedi che il movimento è questo. questo che non c'è su c'è, ma non me lo... Cosa? Voi non la vedete, vero? Ok, ho appena aperto una tastiera. Ma queste... Dai, come esco di... Ok. Vi farà piacere sapere che adesso non muove più neanche la camera. La camera adesso è tutta sul mouse. Bene, mettiamo via questo. E muoviamoci con Wast. Ora prende i comandi così. Io non capisco. Ok, allora proviamo a tastiera. Adesso siamo su mouse e tastiera, tutto il casino di prima. Vediamo un po'.
Commander? I'm not usually such a nervous wreck, by the way. I actually did well at the academy.
Oh yeah?
Maybe you've heard of the Torvalin test?
Sounds familiar.
It's a tactical simulator that makes the Kobayashi Maru look like a picnic on Pintaris 5. Anyway, I finished in the top 20. Not just in my class.
Questo si sta un po' vantando.
All time, in the history of the academy.
2. Very impressive. Lo facciamo...
Really? That's quite impressive.
Thank you.
Lo facciamo gongolare, è un gongolone, quindi lo facciamo gongolare, dai. Odio il fatto che ci sia un tempo così corto, comunque. Cavoli te da me. Sono il re del mondo. Ok, lentissimo. Siamo al 48% umani.
You absolutely crushed the Torvalin test. You finished in what, like the top 3?
That would be me.
Now I'm really... It's an honor to meet you, Commander. Sorry, I didn't realize before. I just came off the shuttle and was glad to be on solid
pleasure. Facciamo i gentili, dai.
The pleasure is mine, Ensign...
Paul Calloway.
Good to meet you.
I believe Commander Ermot is expecting you. He's in the concourse just ahead.
See you on the Resolute.
Cioè, casca a pezzi la Resolute, ragazzi. È tutto da rifare. Vabbè. Salve. La prima sputtanata è andata. Perché è sputtanata?
If I remember my briefing, Commander Ermot is a Bolian, so I'm looking for someone with blue skin.
Sì, grazie, so come è fatto un booleano. Devo solo trovare il modo per arrivarci. No, non ci interessano le informazioni.
Excuse me.
Che bell'uomo.
Welcome to the edge of the galaxy, Commander Rydek. I'm Commander Jan Ermot, Operations Officer on the Resolute. Commander? I hope there wasn't too much trouble getting here.
Gli audio sono ok, ragazzi? It was fine, dai, facciamo... No, non diciamo nulla. Devo per forza? Cioè, si ferma il tempo, non posso non dire nulla. Pensavo che non dire nulla fosse un'opzione. Vabbè, grazie per il feedback sull'audio, Ren. Quindi abbiamo tutto il tempo che vogliamo di rispondere. A bit bumpy.
It was a bit bumpy, but otherwise okay.
My apologies. This storm is unlike anything I've seen before.
E perché ti scusi di una cosa che non ci incastra nulla con le cose che fai te, scusami.
We're grateful
Vabbè.
you were able to come fill our first officer vacancy at such short notice. From everything I've read and everything I've heard, we're lucky you were available to us. Coming from a premier starship and all. To our little research vessel.
Cosa hai sentito di noi?
What exactly have you heard about me?
First in your class at the Academy. Received the Starfleet Award of Valor during the Dominion War. Most recently, Tactical Officer and Chief of Security on the USS Endeavour.
You've done your homework?
Like I said, we're very lucky.
Ok. Avrei preferito la Miranda.
USS Resolute. She may not look like much compared to the bigger ships, but as far as science vessels go, she can more than hold her own. And she doesn't look so bad considering 6 months ago she was nearly cracked in half venting plasma fighting for her life.
It was an accident?
Equipment malfunction. An accident suggests fault, but no one's to blame. It was a planned test, but the warp core was pushed beyond its limits. It destabilized the dilithium, there was a runaway reaction, and the warp bubble deformed. We thought we could reach a higher resonant frequency, but it was more than she could handle. Cost us our first officer and 22 of our crew. At the end of the day, we're all responsible for each other. That's what it means to be a crew.
È un alto prezzo.
To have lost so many lives. That's a high price to pay.
Too high by any estimation. But there's nothing that can be done about it now except get back to work. And make sure it never happens again. Listen. I realize you've known Captain Solano for quite some time. And I'm sure you're ready to bring your best. But I should warn you that when the captain announced you would be the new first officer, there were those who felt it was a mistake, that he should have promoted from within. So you might want to tread lightly at first. Until they come to value your contributions as much as he does.
Ma ringraziamolo per l'avviso, dai. Non facciamo troppo gli sboroni.
Thank you. Always good to have a sense for what you're walking into.
I just thought you ought to know.
I appreciate it.
Starfleet has assigned us a high-priority mission to the Hotari region. I'll let the captain brief you on board. I know he's eager to see you.
Will we be mission ready in time?
We have every intention. The crew has been working around the clock to get the ship ready. There's still so much to do.
Ok, quindi con invio possiamo valutare lo stato delle nostre risposte. W. Ok, questo Latin Lover. Quello è chiaramente sapore incrostato nella lavastoviglie, nella lavatrice, scusa. Sta troppo. Find the plasma torch. Plasma torch. E sarà questa. Che uomo convinto. No, davvero i minigiochini così, però no, Scusa? Cosa? Ah? Addirittura? Ah. Calma e contento. Clicco ancora. G, come... No. Ah, giro così. Ok, va bene. S. Sì, ma scusa, non ho capito cosa c'entra il motore di una navetta col fatto che stiamo riparando W, tutta la nave, cioè... D. E clicco. E vai. Hai già finito un episodio? Lower decks, vai.
I thought the thing was totally fried. Nice work, Carter.
Carter.
Nothing to it, Neely.
And not a moment too soon. The boss wants us down in engineering. Like, now.
Il boss ci vuole engineering. Andiamo. Oh mio Dio, adesso cos'è il mouse? No, ora è ingestibile. Che cazzo? Scusatemi, ma veramente non capisco. Un po' meglio. Sì, arrivo, scusa, c'avevo dei problemi con la camera. Li avrò tutto il gioco, lo so già.
Good to see her fully operational again. And if she breaks, we'll just fix her.
Salve. Sì, so chi è Boiler, Ren, so chi è Boiler.
I heard the new XO just arrived. Won't be long before we get underway. I just hope whatever Chovak called us down for, it's something good. I can never tell with him. I'd rather not end up degaussing plasma manifolds. Hanging upside down makes me queasy.
Possiamo occuparci di tutto! Questo lo facciamo ottimista. Perché è un guardia marina, questo deve essere ottimismo a palla.
Looks like we got here before.
Lieutenant Commander Chovak.
We were just looking for you, Commander.
Petty Officers Ed Solar, Diaz. I was beginning to think you would be late. We are all hands on deck right now, which means if you are not at your post at the appointed time, I do not have someone to replace you. A point I have been forced to make to Petty Officer Ed Solar on repeated occasions.
Quasi in ritardo non è ritardo.
Well, Commander Chovak, isn't it true that if we were almost late, it categorically means that we were not late?
That is correct, Mr. Diaz.
I mean, if anything, Ed Solar and I are following the schedule to the letter.
Yes, perhaps I should adjust the schedule accordingly.
So, I don't suppose you wanted us down here to check in before we go off duty?
Equip yourselves in EV suits to work on the exterior of the hull. I need you to tune the structural integrity field for optimal performance. The subspace distortions and ionic interference we are experiencing are preventing the proper calibration. But this ship must be ready to depart shortly, despite the storm. The precise nature of these disturbances are not fully understood. But many systems have been affected by the wide band of emissive
Ottimismo. Ottimismo.
Whatever it throws at us, we'll be ready. We've got the best chief engineer in the fleet.
I am a Vulcan, Mr. Diaz. Flattery is not necessary. All that I require is that you do your job. Right now, that entails critical preparations, because long-range sensors show that these disturbances will be more severe at our destination, the Hotari system. You have your orders. Do not delay.
Yes,
Roger
Commander
that.
Chovak. All hands on deck.
What's that?
All hands on deck. That's what Chovak said. You know what that means? It means this ship isn't ready to go out and the brass know it. So they're throwing every warm body at it. And they're going to leave on schedule. Consequences be damned.
So, è su di noi la responsabilità. Noi ripareremo il tutto a occhi chiusi.
We can do. But this isn't just any old refit or any old relaunch.
Oh, whoa. Excuse me.
A lot of new faces coming on board. It's gotta be tough coming as a replacement. That's for sure.
Diamogli una possibilità.
They seem all right. Something that happened 6 months ago while they were off on another ship? Well, That's nothing to hold against them.
Yeah, you're right. I guess getting a little new blood on board doesn't hurt. Hold
Stica
on.
un po'.
Now there's an old face I didn't expect to see again. Hey, Miranda!
You weren't gonna leave without me, were you?
Miranda, you're here?
We thought you were staying
Miranda.
on the Adirondack.
Transfer came in at the last minute, so I figured I'd slum it on this bucket of bolts. Looks like you got her back together pretty nicely. I wasn't sure what to expect.
Non insultare la mia nave.
Don't talk badly about one of the best ships in all of Starfleet.
We've rebuilt enough of her by now. She better be one of the best.
We'll see about that.
Di sicuro ha una faccia strana.
I am glad to be here. He still owes me a bottle of Saurian brandy. Don't think I forgot.
Oh yeah, it's coming back to me now.
Maybe Carter can rustle up that bottle and we can give you a proper welcome. As soon as we wrap up this quick little spacewalk.
Prendiamo.
Here, let me help you.
Thanks.
So what's the word? Are you back in the security rotation?
Yep. Still running with the usual
Signorina ha un occhio
suspects.
famelico per il nostro...
Good to go.
C'è del flirt qui. Che occhio.
See you on the other side.
Bellissimo. Ok.
Activating magnetic souls.
Sì. Devo camminare? Sì, devo camminare. Mi aspetti, signorina, arrivo. Non abbia fretta. Oh.
Have you never gets old.
Let's go.
Non è proprio un posto comodo. Ecco, lì non ci camminerei sopra. Ecco. Ora che facciamo? Torniamo dalla nostra prima ufficiale? Immagino di sì. No, è solo un giro della nave. Torniamo dai nostri manutentori. No! Tattica. È di nuovo finito un episodio, minchia, sono
Captain
veloci.
Solano should be here momentarily.
Ma se io premo... Vediamo, fatemi un attimo capire, no? Allora, lui... Abbiamo fatto una buona impressione sul comandante Urmot. Ok. Siamo empatici, quindi ha apprezzato la cosa. Il Ensign è molto grato del senso dell'umorismo quando era nervoso sullo shuttle. Siamo stati nervosi, ok. Miranda, non ci abbiamo interagito, quindi come fa... Ah, ha sentito la chemistry. È un film, Filmix, essenzialmente è un film. Molte clip, sì sì, assolutamente. Ti confermo la sensazione. Non è un gioco per adesso e non credo lo sarà mai. Cioè il gioco sta nello scegliere le interazioni e vedere come reagiscono i vari personaggi. Siamo stati ciechi e... Cavalier? Ok. Vabbè, torniamo. Ero curioso di capire.
You'll have to forgive me, I don't know much about Kobleods. But my understanding is you need a steady supply of duridium to keep your cell structure stabilized, or bad things start to happen. And we have plenty of duridium in sickbay, so there's no risk of running out.
Thank you.
Feel free to make yourself at home. And help yourself to whatever you like from the replicator.
Allora, scuriosare la scrivania del comandante sarebbe carina, ma evitiamo. Cioè del capitano. Diploma, questo lo possiamo vedere, ha messo in bella vista.
I can't believe he keeps this around. Don't even know where mine is.
Ok, ragazza, te non... vabbè, allora, andiamo al replicatore, ci facciamo un tè. Buonasera, Davide.
Just a sip of something.
Rattagino, tè o caffè?
Decisions.
Vada per un tè.
Tea.
Oddio, l'effetto del teletrasporto dovunque, anche sotto. Dai, Rattagino, no, è alcol. Cioè, è finito il alcol. Dai, no. Già finito?
Jara Rydek. Last time I saw you, it was graduation from the academy. You'd already secured one of the most prestigious assignments possible. And you were burning with enough ambition to fuel 7 trips around the Necrit Expanse.
It's good to see you again, Captain.
I could not be happier to have you on the Resolute. My only regret is that we couldn't provide you with a warmer welcome. The arrival of a first officer to her new ship deserves a bit of fanfare. But, unfortunately, we've had our hands full with the refit.
That would be totally unnecessary. I don't need any pomp and circumstance.
You've been here all of 5 minutes, and already you're trying to make us more efficient. I like it. As I'm sure you've heard, we've had a rough go of it these last 6 months. The ship suffered some damage, but not nearly as much as the crew.
Incidente.
I assume you mean the accident.
That's right. The tragic accident, really. We were on the verge of a major scientific breakthrough. A quantum leap forward in warp core technology. 10,000 teradynes per second. The ability to travel at a sustained rate of speed longer and faster than we ever dreamed. What would have been the crowning achievement of my career. Right there. Within our grasp.
Aia.
Until it all went so horribly wrong. We pushed her too hard, and a warp core malfunction overloaded the system, creating a pressure gradient way beyond what the ship can handle. It was heartbreaking. We lost some of our best people. As captain, I have to take full responsibility. It was my decision to make, and I have to live with the consequences.
Allora, anche se non lo penso...
You're being too hard on yourself. It wasn't your fault.
It's not a question of blame. It's about responsibility. No matter what the circumstances. In my defense, I will say I might have avoided the whole ordeal if my senior staff had been willing to trust me. There was a lot of pushback from my former XO, and I think that cost me his confidence. I don't want you to pull any punches. Certainly not on my account. But once we decide on a course of action, I need everyone to fully commit to the mission. Anything short of that just won't work. And that's when things start to go sideways.
This is your ship, and you are the captain. So as far as I'm concerned, whatever you say, goes.
That's the kind of support I'm looking for. Look, I'll be blunt. We can't afford another mistake.
Non mi piace sto comandante.
I feel like my career is hanging in the balance here.
O capitano.
We need a win. Something to restore the crew's confidence.
I understand.
On a more positive note, Starfleet has tasked us with what they're calling a mission of the highest priority. Escorting a senior diplomat to Hotari space. 2 previously peaceful and otherwise non-aggressive civilizations now find themselves on the brink of all-out war.
So it's a peacekeeping mission.
I see it as a golden opportunity to not only prove what the Resolute and her crew are truly capable of, but also a mission for which we're uniquely qualified. This ionic storm. Our long-range sensors suggest it's several orders of magnitude stronger than anything on record. A total anomaly like nothing we've seen before. And you'll never guess where it leads.
Hatari.
Exactly. Very nearly in the precise location where we're headed. Where I imagine the interference will be exponentially greater. But the diplomat will brief us on the details at the rendezvous.
Chi è questo
Who is
diplomatico?
the diplomat we're escorting?
That I don't know. Starfleet hasn't said. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. I expect we'll have some rough sledding when we arrive, so I need you to prepare the crew for the worst. There's just one more thing I want to clarify up front. The metric that for me will be the ultimate measure of your success.
What is it?
If after serving as my first officer, you don't one day find yourself with a ship of your own, then I will consider it my personal failure. When that might happen is entirely up to you. But it goes without saying, you have my full support.
Facciamo i...
But I feel like I still have so much to learn.
You'll have plenty of opportunity. And if you're willing to put in the work, I'll do everything in my power to help you along the way. Come.
Che marpione facciotto, marpione. Comunque chic non è Resolution, è Resolute. È un ponte moderno, moderno in stile anni 90, ovvero Galaxy.
I'd like to introduce Commander Jara Rydek, our new first officer. Some quick introductions. This is Lieutenant Handar, our helmsman, one of the best in the business.
Questo già da prendere a schiaffi.
Well, what he lacks in humility, he more than makes up for in ability.
Bejoriano, se qualcuno interessa.
Likewise.
Next, we have Commander Westbrook, our Chief Science Officer. I've come to rely on his expert counsel on a regular basis.
Pleasure.
Questo fa la faccia del vulcaniano senza
Commander
esserlo.
It is such an honor to meet you.
This is our tactical officer, Lieutenant Bedrosian, who's been looking forward to meeting you for about as long as I can remember.
I've been following your career for quite some time. And I look forward to learning as much as I can from you.
Gentile.
That's very kind of you to say. I'm happy to be here.
Well, I have to admit, one of the reasons I've followed your career is because you're part Kobliad. Because of what you've overcome. Starfleet stands up for people who can't defend themselves. And you were one of those people once. But since then, you've done so much to protect others who need it. I really admire that. So, you've been something of an inspiration to me. Not that I've done anything close to what you've done, but you definitely set a standard to strive for.
Come si ferma sta tizia?
That's very kind of you to say, but enough about me. We have a lot of work to do.
Oh, yes, of course.
And then, of course, you've already met Commander Ermont. Please, do everything you can to make Commander Rydek feel at home here. I'll be on the starbase. I have an urgent meeting with the starbase commander to get our authorization to get underway. If they drag their feet any longer, we won't make our rendezvous. The bridge is yours.
Abbiamo un ponte. Diamoci un'occhiata in giro, va? Operations.
Operations. Staffing, supplies. There's a lot to keep track of on a starship. Good thing we have Commander Ermont.
Faccia da schiaffi. Helm.
The helm. The Resolute is a refitted Centaur class, meaning it's capable of quick maneuvers. Can't wait to see what she can do.
Ribadisco, avrei preferito la Miranda, però è affettivo. Te non sei degna di essere... In genere qui c'è il tattico, ma... Ah no, non è vero. Next Generation, qui non c'è il tattico. Il tattico è là. Qui ci sarebbe stato il tattico se fossimo... Vabbè, lasciamo stare.
Science station. The Resolute is a science vessel, primarily. Might explain Commander Westbrook's attitude. I'll have to speak with him later.
Anche te non sei degna di essere considerata, ok? E qua c'è la tizia.
Tactical station. Hopefully a diplomatic mission won't require we use
Non è un po' bassa la...
If it comes to that, I'll
Cioè...
be ready.
Cioè, se deve premere il tasto lassù in cima, che fa? S'arrampica. Questo è il nostro bel seggiolino. Lo guardiamo e poi ci mettiamo a sedere su quello
My
giusto.
seat. Right now, though, I need to fill in for Captain Solano.
No, Chic, la Reliant era una Miranda class.
Structural integrity field. He's sent a crew out to recalibrate the emitters in response to the danger posed by the storm. We just need your go-ahead.
Non ti stavo ascoltando. Mi puoi ripetere che cosa hai appena detto?
Permission granted.
Lowering structural integrity field now.
Entering maintenance mode. Condition blue.
The storm is getting worse.
Looks like they turned off the SIF.
Great. Let's get to that emitter.
Siamo a testa in giù. Non mi fa girare la visuale, però.
Every time we're out here, I half expect to see her in pieces again.
She's still got some scars on her. It adds character.
When I joined Starfleet, all I wanted was a ride out of town. But this isn't exactly how I pictured it.
On the outside of the ship?
No. Sometimes it feels like we're just part of the machinery. Don't you want more than that? I mean, Starfleet is noble and all, but it's still a machine. A massive, massive machine.
Now, what are you complaining about? We got the best seat in the house out here. You wanted to get away. I enlisted because I didn't want to wait years just to get out and see the galaxy. I wanted to go somewhere, see new worlds, look up at a sky no one's ever seen before. Just because I'm cranking a hyperspanner up in a Jeffries tube today doesn't mean that's all I'll ever be. Diaz to Commander Chovak. We are at the SIF emitter.
Acknowledged. You may proceed with the recalibration.
D e clic. Doppia V. Cosa vuoi prendere? Calibration tool.
Beginning recalibration.
Align the SIF. What? Ah, ok. Non avevo capito cosa dovevo fare.
That wasn't so hard.
Ora scoppia.
Commander Westbrook, right? Chief Science Officer.
You remembered my name and my rank. Impressive.
Io me li ero già scordati.
Yes, I am the Chief Science Officer, and I have the dubious honor of being the most senior officer on this bridge. I know this ship inside and out.
Ah, la voleva lui.
Better than just about anyone.
What a very impressive list of credentials.
This is a research and discovery ship, first and foremost. Now with a former tactical officer as its new first officer. I'm curious, though. A Kobliad, or half in your case, is an odd choice for first officer, given your vulnerable condition and all. But if, as an example, we found ourselves in a hostile situation, and you were suddenly incapacitated because you needed an infusion, what would happen then? You'd leave Captain Solano without an XO. Granted, that would be a worst-case scenario, but not outside the realm of possibility.
That's very kind of you to be concerned about my well-being. But you don't need to trouble yourself on my account. I'll be fine.
Well, I wouldn't say I was concerned, just curious, that's all.
No, non curious, geloso.
Listen, can I be blunt, Commander?
I see no reason to stop now.
Commander Sutherland, your predecessor was one of the best first officers in all of Starfleet.
La
His record was
finezza,
impeccable and his reputation was without equal. I mean no disrespect, but the shoes you're stepping into are almost impossible to fill. He was loved by the crew. And he was one of my closest friends. So I can only hope that you'll...
Non voglio le sue scarpe, voglio le
I don't think
mie.
I could ever replace Commander Sutherland. And it would be a mistake to even try.
Seeing as Captain Solano is on the starbase, let me give you an update on this ion storm we're flying into.
Ha sorriso o sbaglio?
Unusual. Unlike anything I've ever seen. At the moment, I can't tell you if the Resolute will shrug it off or if we're putting ourselves at risk. However, if we learn more about its powers, its nature, we can come up with a
pulsante rosso.
Just a moment.
Sì, appunto. Tanti pulsanti rossi. Molti pulsanti rossi.
We've got a massive energy wave inbound.
On screen.
Ops.
Tracing its trajectory.
Starbase docking clamps are holding.
The storm's emissions are fluctuating, coming in waves. And if my projections are right, we're about to get hit by a wide-band burst of ionic energy. Like a tsunami.
I'm reading power abnormalities all over the ship.
Estimated time to impact. 2 minutes.
No, red alert no, perché ci sono quelli fuori. Lo vogliamo fare davvero? Non mi dai altre opzioni?
Red alert.
Aye. Evacuating main gangway and retracting.
Putting sensor visualization on screen.
With the structural integrity field shut down, we can't take a direct hit.
Time to impact. 1 minute.
Shield systems are severely impacted. We have limited protection.
I need every available solution. What are our options?
We can weaken the impact of the storm with a deflector pulse.
There's a better way.
I'm sending all auxiliary power to the deflector dish.
Send the aux power to the shields. We can't reactivate the entire shield bubble, but it's a directional threat. So we can orient all we have towards the wave. You have to believe me.
We only get one shot at this. We can't afford to get it wrong.
That's right, which is why we need to send power to our shields.
Bedrosian?
Non credo funzionerà.
Rerouting power to shields. Stand by. I need a heading.
Il più anziano era quello di cui fidarsi.
Understood. On my command.
Heading locked.
Non funzionerà.
Raise shields.
This is it.
All hands, brace for impact.
What happened?
We have experienced a surge of radiation.
Oh, you don't say.
This radiation supercharged the plasma, forcing it to backflush through the system and creating a dangerous imbalance.
Can you blow out every primary system on the ship?
Just tell us where you need us.
I need you to traverse the hull to the access port to recalibrate the port nacelle plasma regulator.
We've reached the first access point.
Già arrivati?
Do you see the override for the level 1 failsafe circuits?
Affirmative.
Engage the override. It should allow us to stop the EPS flow to the warp engine without triggering an automatic core shutdown.
A o B?
Failsafe override engaged.
Are you sure? I am registering some crosstalk in the bypass circuit.
We need to route the signals so they don't interfere with each other.
Ah, scusa. Ah, ok, c'è una sola opzione. E allora?
Diaz to Resolute. The failsafes are temporarily disabled. Moving on to the EPS regulator.
Heads up, Carter.
What is that?
One of the discharges coalesced.
It's coming right toward us. I'm gonna try to disrupt it with my phaser.
Perché?
So we gotta climb up the pylon. Not that there's really an up, but, you know.
C'è pure lo shooting. Che emozione. Cioè, dobbiamo difendere la tizia, perché lei non riesce a difendersi da sola. Ottimo! Wow, wow, wow! No! Questo è per me! Ah, abbiamo perso una stella, ragazzi. Sì, ho capito, ma lei non mi aiuta proprio nulla. Siamo magnetici. Ciao. Dietro? No? Dietro no, ok. Sì, ma levati perché se no ti faccio male. Non si è mai sentito di phaser che distruggono delle radiazioni ioniche. Però vabbè. Scenetta.
We're at the regulator. Opening the access panel.
I am now halting the EPS flow to the port nacelle. We have little time before it causes an overload in the engine. You must work efficiently.
I sottotitoli aiutano se uno non è ferratissimo in inglese, ma un po' ferrato in inglese, magari vederlo scritto lo aiuta più che sentire solo l'audio. È il motivo per cui ci sono i sottotitoli, anche se è in inglese e basta.
EPS manifold adjusters reset to neutral.
Però capisco che se sei completamente a... Che devo fare? Ok. bastardo.
The EPS lines to the port warp engine are back in balance. Almost done. Once I cycle the manifold nozzles, Chovok can...
Minchia. Ma teletrasportarli a bordo e farla finita no,
Get down! Diaz to bridge. We just lost the docking clamp. We've got a lot of debris coming down. Hull vibrations, too. We can't finish the EPS regulation in these conditions. Please advise.
We have to release the ship from that other docking clamp or the hull will be ripped apart.
There's a problem. The clamps are supposed to disengage automatically in an emergency, but it's not working.
Not working.
What are our options?
The docking clamps are fitted with exploding bolts for an emergency release.
We've got crew out there. That'd be like setting off a bomb next to them.
Maybe there's another way.
Starbase is hailing us. Put him through.
Resolute, the remaining mooring arm is failing. You need to disengage from the starbase now. The damage to the station will be catastrophic.
The docking clamp isn't functioning. We're exploring our options.
The option is to detonate the emergency release.
Commander, hear me out. Reverse the polarity of the hull, which theoretically will repel the docking clamps.
And repel the engineering crew right off the hull into the storm.
This is Captain Solano. Put me on screen.
Go ahead. Captain, we have a situation.
Commander, what are you doing? Blow the bolts on the docking clamp.
The captain doesn't know the whole story.
I'm giving you an order. Chara?
Captain, you brought me here because you trusted me. Can you trust me now?
You better be sure you make the right decision.
The captain made himself quite clear.
They're gonna get hammered with debris out there. Reverse the polarity.
Fidiamoci dell'anziano stavolta, va?
There is protocol.
And there are lives.
Starbase, stand by. We're gonna flip hull polarity to disengage the clamps.
Yes, Commander.
L'abbiamo deluso.
Repair crew. This is acting
Non ho mai salvato Ren, quindi...
We are going to reverse hull polarity to free us from the remaining docking clamp. Tether yourself and deactivate your boots on my mark.
Understood.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
Porca puttana!
2, 1. Mark!
Grab my hand. I got you.
Thank you.
Plasma imbalance is reaching critical condition. We are moments from primary system failure.
I got it.
Ora si rompe o qualcosa non funziona, ovviamente, certo. Di più! Spingi di più! Ma la tizia non ci potrebbe dare una mano, no? Addio, Warpcore. Grazie. Hai tutta la mia stima. Sto premendo un W solo,
Look out!
I got you. Petty Officer Etzelar's hurt and unconscious. I'm gonna have to tow her back to the airlock.
Mr. Diaz, the situation has changed. You are at risk of triggering a substantial electromagnetic arc if you approach the main hull the way you came.
But Commander, the way we came is the nearest airlock.
There is an auxiliary hatch near you on the far end of the pylon. You must bring Miss Edsolar there to access the interior.
Roger that.
Ma teletrasportarli no, eh? Minchia.
I'm at the auxiliary hatch.
Quindi l'ingegnere è tutto mini giochini e...
You go first.
What?
Let me save your neck this time. No time to fight me on this. Get in there.
Not on your life.
Let's not let it come down to that.
Si è rotto.
We made it.
They're safe, bringing the SIF fully online.
Do it.
Siamo stati braverrimi. Ma ora il capitano ci fa un culo grosso come una casa.
Nilly.
I'm good. Help me with him.
Let's get this off. Medical. Got one wounded at my location. Carter. You don't look so good. You gotta be more careful. I just got here. I'm not ready to see you two get blown to space dust just yet.
Marpiona.
Now let's get you down to sickbay.
Great.
Ma ora abbiamo una... cioè quello lì ha una cicatrice molto figa sulla faccia.
Status report.
The repair crew made it inside. EPS flow is back to nominal levels. The SIF is back up.
How does this affect mission readiness, Mr. Ermot?
Releasing the docking clamps using hull polarity minimized damage to the Resolute. We'll have some last-minute repairs to make, but if we reapportion some of the staff, we can make our departure on time. As of now, however, we are successfully moored to the station.
Good to hear. Send updates to my ready room. Commander Rydek, with me.
E arriva il culo.
You disobeyed my orders. Well?
Respectfully, Captain, I made the right choice given the information I had.
You disobeyed my orders! And not just in front of the bridge crew, but the Starbase staff as well. That's going to get around. My name's already tarnished around the fleet. But what is it going to do to my credibility on this ship? From the top to the bottom. Bridge to lower decks.
Teniamo il
Maybe I shouldn't
punto.
have disobeyed a direct order. But you were wrong. You weren't on board, and you didn't have all the information. So I made the right decision for the ship. If you're worried about your credibility, put your ego aside and trust your crew. Trust me.
You might have won some fans on the bridge with that stunt, but not everyone.
Lieutenant Commander Chovak has already bent my ear.
I'm sure he doesn't take it personally. He'll get over it in time.
Mr. Chovak is more complicated than he would want to admit. I guess we all are. And, if I'm being honest, I'm not sure what I would have done in the moment either. You never really know if you weren't in those shoes. So, let's just boil it down to you did what you had to. That'll have to be good enough for me.
Am I dismissed, sir?
Dismissed? We got work to do. Despite it all, we got our final Starfleet clearance to depart. So if you'll fetch Mr. Ermot, we'll knock out the final details of any outstanding repairs, and then we'll set out for Hotari.
Yes, sir.
Ren, userai quel saluto a tutti, per tutti? Per sapere? Citazioni, citazioni.
All departments reporting full mission readiness. We've got our full complement on board.
This is my favorite moment, right now.
The start of a new mission is always full of possibility.
The Orion Syndicate could sell it as a drug.
Don't let the Admiralty hear you say that.
Captain on the bridge.
Sit. Sit, everyone. You all know, I'm not big on speeches. We're embarking on the first mission since our refit. Let's make it a good one. Disengage docking clamps.
Docking clamps released.
Thrusters ahead, Mr. Handar.
Avevano il modello, perché non hanno fatto scegliere la nave? Era lì, accanto. Anche la Excelsior andava bene. Guarda, lì sotto. Le gondole. Guarda, eccola lì dietro. No, dobbiamo usare una...
That should do it. Set a course for the Hotari system. Prepare to go to Warp 8.
Hi, Captain.
You know what? You take this one.
Me?
Engage to it, make way. Make way!
Helm. Make way.
Macchinario, buonasera.
Make way.
It's a sailing term.
I know that.
Easy.
Thank you. I'm fine. Really,
You don't look so good.
I have to get to sickbay.
Go.
Minchia!
Help me get her inside.
Che bella faccia che ha fatto.
Well, that was quite a scare. A few minutes more and it would have been one of the shortest tenures on record for a first officer.
Is that the engineer that was out on the hull?
That storm did a real number on him, He'll live. Just needs rest. You should worry about yourself. Your duridium levels got dangerously low and destabilized your cell structure.
This is definitely one of the more memorable first days I can think of.
My name is Dr. Aram Duval, Chief Medical Officer. To be honest, I've never met a Kobliad before. You're...
rare. I know.
I was going to say special. Your people's numbers have dwindled, despite the Federation's efforts to find a more readily available alternative to the duridium you need to survive. Yet you joined Starfleet, and managed to thrive. I imagine the responsibility must be overwhelming. Maybe even a burden at times.
I know what it means. And I know the responsibility that comes with it. But I can't be anything more than who I am. And if someone has a problem with that, or expects something else...
Chic, dove hai visto la Discovery in una classe Centauro?
That's exactly
Dove?
right. And don't worry, I won't treat you like a science experiment. I just do the science and leave the experiments to Solano.
You don't agree with his methods?
I don't agree with his definition of acceptable risks. Not when the lives of your crew are at stake. My professional opinion is that the accident took a toll. More than he's willing to admit. He's overstressed, operating in the pressure cooker of his own mind. Which is never a good headspace when the lives of your crew are at stake. What concerns me is that now he's even further away from the thing he's been chasing his entire career. Breakthrough discovery. The major innovation. Something he can put his name on. The more the time passes and the further out of reach it gets...
Questa ci sta spiegando il vero carattere del capitano.
I hear you. But that's my job, isn't it? To make sure that doesn't happen. And we don't lose sight of the bigger picture.
Which is exactly why I'm so glad you're here. We need you now more than ever. And I have to give you credit for what happened on the bridge. It took guts to defy a direct order.
Huh. I guess word travels fast around here.
It's a small ship. And everyone's curious about the new XO. Fortunately, your cell structure's almost completely stabilized. And I'll spare us both the lecture, but I do feel it's my responsibility to remind you, without regular infusions of duridium, you will not live. It's as simple as that.
Understood.
Then, my work here is done.
Lieutenant Bedrosian.
I came to see if you were okay. We were all pretty worried on the bridge. No one knew what was happening.
I don't want anyone to worry. This is just part of who I am. It doesn't define me.
Of course. I completely understand. And I would probably feel the same way if I were you. You trusted me earlier with the shields, and I appreciated that. I want you to know that I have your back.
Thank you.
È una stalker questa. Comunque, una nota su Discovery. Non so se sapete che il design della Discovery parlano.
That's a combination of hyronalin and lectrazine to counter the radiation effects. That should help speed your healing. She's come by a couple of times to see you already. Be brief.
Ci sta a provare.
See you awake again. I was starting to get worried. Not that you aren't in good hands with Dr. Duval. You did take one hell of a shot, though.
Facciamolo charmant.
Be honest. How bad do I look?
You look rugged.
Rugged?
Okay, how about heroic? Nilly was looking in on you too, by the way. But since it's just us right now, I had a chance to think about this while I was away. And I thought it was important that I just come out and tell you. Instead of tiptoeing around it. Or worse, leaving it unsaid.
Facciamo il tonto.
Are you angry at me or something?
Oh, No, not that. I'm sorry. I'm probably making too big of a deal here. What I'm trying to say is, we've been really good friends for a long time. But I got back here and I couldn't ignore it anymore. I want to see if there's more between us than just being friends.
Ci votiamo?
Carter?
You don't have to explain it.
Ma sì.
I feel the same way. There is something between us.
So, do you want to find out what that something is? If it's there for you, and it's there for me, why not give it a try?
Friendzoniamo tantissimo? Buttiamoci, vai!
I just said yes.
I wanted to be sure I heard that right.
Sorry to interrupt, but the patient needs to rest if he wants to get back to his old self.
Of course. I'll see you again soon.
Quanto è brutta, vero? Porca miseria. Ok. Dicevo, è spaventatissimo sto mo. Aspetta, vediamo, posso mettere in pausa se... Sì, ok. Volevo dire a Chic e anche a Ren, che probabilmente lo sa, ma se non lo sapete ve lo sollo io, che il design della Discovery è così diverso da quelli di tutte le altre navi della stessa epoca addirittura, ma di tutti i design di Star Trek successivi, perché in realtà quando hanno deciso di fare la serie Discovery hanno preso i progetti della Star Trek Fase 2, che era la seconda serie che era programmata per gli anni 70 in seguito a quella che ora è chiamata The Old Series, TOS, e che non è mai stata realizzata e che credo prevedesse uno Spock al comando. Se in giro trovate alcuni disegni della nave su cui sarebbe dovuta essere ambientata la fase 2 di Star Trek, ed è essenzialmente la Discovery. Hanno voluto fare questo ed è il motivo per cui è così diversa da tutte le altre. Nel frattempo vediamo che cosa pensa il capitano di noi. È furioso. Questo va tenuto a bada, va veramente tenuto a bada. Siamo riusciti a farci bene o male piacere da tutti, tranne che dal comandante di ingegneria, che ci odia abbastanza, però tutti gli altri sembrano abbastanza contentini su questa cosa. Anche lui odia tutti. Lei è trillata e lei è Trill, ma non è trillata. Vabbè, era una battuta terrificante.
Approaching the rendezvous point outside Atari space.
Helm, bring us out of warp.
Dropping to impulse.
Ionic interference surging.
Certo che parlo dell'ultimo Discovery, quella con Michael Burnham.
Shield integrity holding. We can take it.
We are at the correct coordinates to meet the shuttle.
Commander Rydek, find us our diplomat, if you will.
Aye, Captain. Let's reduce the noise. Filter out environmental signals. I can manually tune what's left for Federation signal types. I've located the shuttle.
Opening comms.
On screen.
Shuttle to Resolute. Shuttle to Resolute. Debris field. Lost maneuvering. Losing.
I can't
C'era
get it
scritto
any clearer.
Excelsior.
We won't get a transporter lock. It's just not happening.
Power up the tractor beam. We'll pull them directly into the docking bay.
Diaz, you good to run the tractor emitter?
Yes, sir.
You sure?
I'm sure.
Come on, Diaz. First thing, lock onto the shuttle and stabilize the rotation. calling in debris.
I'm on it.
Che devo fare? Ci clicco? Sì, ma... ok, ho capito. Via di qui. Scusa, fammelo cliccare. Nell'ordine che vuole lui! Nell'ordine che vuole lui! Porca...
That's gonna take out the shuttle. There's the bridge. There's a large piece of debris headed for the shuttle. The tractor beam can't handle it.
Can our shields take it?
I believe so.
Commander Rydek, plot an intercept course.
On it.
Here we go. Maneuvering thrusters bearing 53 Mark 17. 200 meters on an intercept course.
Maneuvering.
Got it.
Whoa! Someone's working hard on the bridge.
Chissà se era previsto quell'incosa del... o se è perché ho fatto qualche casino io. Chissà. Non è proprio sceso delicatamente, eh?
We got the shuttlecraft on board.
Good job. We're on our way down to meet them.
Terra firma, so to speak.
Ambassador Spock? The captain will be right down to meet you, sir.
In that case, I will wait for him here.
Apologies for the landing, Ambassador. I was operating the tractor beam, sir. I take responsibility.
It was not the smoothest transit, but you got us here safely. That is what matters. We thought we were prepared for our arrival in Hotari space, but it is evident my craft was not sufficiently robust for such intense ionic activity.
The storm has been pretty intense.
There was an element that was most unusual. Before you came to our aid, our maneuvering thrusters and impulse engines were rendered inoperable. So we attempted a short traversal at warp speed, only to find that we could not achieve warp at all, even though our diagnostics computer showed no faults or anomalies. What do you make of that? When all indications say that warp speed is possible, but in practice, we find it is not.
Faulty computer.
Onboard diagnostics can be wrong. I can take a closer look at your shuttle systems to get to the bottom of it.
I would appreciate that.
Take readings, run some additional diagnostic checks, and we'll get to the bottom of this.
Quite logical, Petty Officer...
Carter Diaz. Sir.
Thank you.
Ambassador Spock.
Excuse me.
I'm honored to have you aboard. I'd like to get right to it. We're already behind.
Ora il nostro pivellino si mette lì e lavora, sminuzza, la fa a pezzi, un pezzo per pezzo la navetta. Sì, ma sono troppo veloci sti episodi, su. Vabbè, comunque. Scopriamo che cosa vogliono da noi.
Ambassador Spock, my senior staff. It's not every day that a captain gets to welcome a Starfleet legend aboard.
You flatter me, Captain Solano. But legend implies the past tense, whereas I am very much focused on our present circumstances.
I didn't mean to suggest you were stuck in the past.
C'è vicino, ma non è la voce di Spock.
You're right,
Vabbè.
Ambassador. Not the most diplomatic choice of words.
We're all curious about the future, Ambassador. Specifically, what exactly are we getting involved in here?
We got the basics from Starfleet. Two formerly peaceful neighbors are now on the brink of war.
Indeed, and the tension between them grows fiercer by the hour. Lydia and Hotari. The Lydians are the more advanced species. They made first contact with the Hotari over a century ago. This is Tau, the Hotari moon. It is rich in dilithium, and for decades, the Hotari and the Illydians have shared a mining operation there. The Illydians provide the technological resources, while the Hotari have served as the labor force. The stability of that arrangement
È
is
un
a source of
artimoio
peace.
morto da quel dì, purtroppo, sì.
The
Almeno una decina
Hotari
d'anni.
suddenly and forcefully seized control of the mining operations and expelled the Illydians from their system. That is the official story, as told by the Hotari when they requested Federation mediation. But the details remain scant. Communications between all parties have been limited by the ionic interference.
Have the Illydians retaliated against the Hotari? Or taken any action against them?
Surprisingly, they have not yet responded in kind. They were open to a Federation presence, but it is unlikely the relatively primitive Hotari forces would stand a chance against the Illydian fleet in open war. Left unchecked, this conflict will result in more bloodshed, which is what we are here to prevent.
And the dilithium trade hangs in the balance.
Clearly the Hotari have been exploited in this relationship.
Maybe we can persuade them peace is the more profitable alternative for everyone. They both profited from the mines. And for the Hotari, something is better than nothing. Peace is our objective, after all.
That is correct.
Se non rispondo?
If we could convince them, it would restore the peace. But we would need the Hotari to accept a difficult compromise.
Made all the more difficult by the emotions flaring on both sides, no doubt.
Neither the Illydians or the Hotari are members of the Federation, so we can't make them do anything.
There is an additional complicating factor I should mention. In the past, the Federation has relied on the Illydians as a source of dilithium.
That certainly changes things.
Federation sources its dilithium from a lot of places.
Yeah, and this is one of them.
Non ci crederanno perché sono quegli altri che...
That means the Hotari have no reason to trust us.
I wouldn't go that far, Commander.
We are completely neutral in this matter, on neither one side nor the other. Any suggestion otherwise would compromise our position. Given the Federation's involvement in the Illydian dilithium trade, Captain Solano and I must make every effort to appear neutral in these negotiations.
What worries me is if this whole thing unravels, and we're at the mercy of the storm at less than full strength.
We can't let it come to that.
Considering what the ion storm has done to our ship, and the Ambassador's shuttle, We have to assume the Elydian fleet has had problems with it as well. This recent surge in the energy disturbance temporarily levels the playing field.
Commander Westbrook is correct. The energy anomalies around the Hotari systems have been noted in the past. But they have never been observed on the orders of magnitude we have seen in recent weeks.
That may answer why the Hotari were able to strike back after so long. They finally had an opportunity, and they took it.
That would also explain the Elydians' restraint.
And reason to learn as much about the energy anomaly as we can while we are here. We do not want to be caught at a disadvantage of our own. So I trust we understand our circumstances.
We're operating on a strict timetable here, and we're going to be leaving for the negotiations shortly. Commander Westbrook, I want you to leverage our systems to investigate the anomaly from here while we're gone.
Aye, Captain.
Thank you all.
Dismissed.
I want to speak to both of you privately.
Ambassador Spock, I'd like to make a formal introduction. My first officer, Commander Jara Rydek.
Commander, as you are aware, there are limits to what Captain Solano and I can do in our official capacity as representatives of the Federation. But someone in an unofficial capacity, your first officer, for example, would not be bound by those restrictions. Commander Rydek could ingratiate herself to certain parties behind the scenes, where they may be more candid in revealing information that could lead to a resolution.
She certainly goes her own way. Maybe that helps in this case. It would be unconventional, but I'm not opposed to it.
Non siamo, cioè, teniamoci bassi, no? Cioè, stiamo parlando con un certo signorino qui, quindi direi che non siamo, cioè, aspetta, non sono un diplomatico, non ti aspettare cose.
With all due respect, Ambassador, I'm not a trained diplomat.
That's exactly what we're going to leverage.
I began my time in Starfleet as a science officer, not as an ambassador. We must be adaptable in the line of duty.
Well, I hope Commander Rydek will have more luck finding out what really happened than we will through official diplomatic channels.
The fate of the negotiations, the interests of the Federation, and the prospect for peace may very well depend on it.
No pressure, no pressure.
Mr. Diaz, I understand you have already discussed the warp drive failure with Ambassador Spock?
I have.
It is imperative that the Ambassador's shuttle be flight ready. I need you both to ascertain the root cause of the system failures he encountered.
I'm surprised, Commander. I thought you would have wanted to work on Ambassador Spock's shuttle yourself.
I respect the Ambassador and his many accomplishments, but I do not derive any satisfaction from interacting with his shuttle as if it were somehow transubstantiated through its association with him. Especially when I have the entirety of this starship to concern myself with. I am not the chief engineer of this shuttlecraft.
The Ambassador asked me to take a look, and I'm ready to crack this thing open.
Good. You could learn from Mr. Diaz's focus.
I'll take notes.
Then I will leave you to it. Make note of any abnormalities in your report. Carry on.
It seems like he's warming up to us.
Yeah.
Even Chovok has to look at that face and know you've earned some real respect. And I have to admit that I owe you one. You were right to make me go first. I don't know what I was thinking.
Siamo gentili, cavalieri, dai.
You've pulled me out of trouble how many times? Call it even.
Okay. At the very least, maybe I can track down that bottle of Saurian brandy you're still on the hook for. But first, we have work to do.
Da dove spunta fuori quella console, scusami,
Ready to go?
Let's run the diagnostic.
Sto muovendo la sua mano legnosa. Begin.
So, I know about your talk with Miranda.
You do?
She sent me a Priority 1 dispatch right after your conversation. I'm happy for you. Both of you.
Thanks.
But I'm only going to tell you this once. Don't screw this up. Because I would be very unhappy if you tried this out and then, I don't know, 6 weeks or 6 days later, I have to start splitting holidays between the two of you. All because things went south and you're not on speaking terms. That just isn't gonna work for me. And I know you'll respect that.
You really don't believe in me, huh?
It's not you. Or her. Just running the numbers, and things don't work out more often than they do. I like my friends, and I like our group. I don't want to lose that.
È il tetto incomodo, Ren, su.
Yeah, it's wrapping up. Let's see. The relays along
Magari
the
a lei
primary
piaceva
EPS are
l'altra.
blown. The backup relays are all intact.
An EPS overload from the warp drive could cause that. But how did the shuttle end up dead in the water?
Huh. Well, maybe the ship's data recorder can tell us something.
Data record, ecco la sua mano legnosa. D.
Here.
They were only about 8 minutes from their plotted warp point. No faults, just those warnings. What are they?
Basterà cliccare con la mano legnosa e lo scopriamo.
The warp field became inverted suddenly.
I've seen this happen when the center warp coil cracks.
A cracked warp coil throws a fault code.
Still, we should take a look.
Qua cosa abbiamo? È un po' saponoso, ecco.
There was a complete warp cascade failure.
Wow. They're lucky the shuttle didn't turn inside out.
Makes me think the computer panicked on the warp field equation.
Panicked. Computer panicked.
Subspace variance out of tolerance. What does that mean?
It means the main navigation array lost sight of space somehow.
Will the array going offline cause that?
Yes, but it should have also thrown a fault code. Any one of these failures should have thrown a fault.
If it was caused by a system failure.
None of this caused the relays to blow. Roll forward to when that happened.
Yes, ma'am.
So here, they take a moment to get their bearings and they attempt to re-engage the warp drive.
There. That's the relays blowing.
And look, there's another warp system alert.
They're all the same. Subspace variance out of tolerance, or warp inversions. Finally, there's a complete warp cascade failure.
Then it's one of two things. Either a warp coil is cracked, or the navigation array is offline.
That makes sense.
Divide and conquer. You want to check the warp coils or the navigation array? I'll check the other. Let's not overcomplicate this. One of these systems is likely broken.
Siamo ingegneri, andiamo per il warp core.
I'll check the nacelles for a cracked coil.
Ho sempre sognato di smontare una gondola. Tricorder usage. Your tricorder can record and analyze data. Looking through it will reveal the unseen. Use 2 to equip and holster your tricorder. Ok. Quindi 1 è il phaser, 2 è il tricorder. Se tiro fuori il phaser non c'è. Ok. Ok, sto fermo. Allora clicco. Out of range. Some objects you scan will activate a deep scan. During the deep scan, use Q and D to switch between different scan modes and search for glowing objects. The mode indicator ok, non ho voglia di leggere. Wow. Stavo muovendo tutto da solo qui, questo qua. Static field. In their standby state, warp coil produce a residual electromagnetic field. No deviations. Okay. Chemical. Polyferranide depositions. The leading coils show evidence of routine maintenance to repair microabrasion of neutrino interactions. Sinusoidal coil cluster. Sinusoidal. The center coil guides the warp field through its focal event, maintaining the collimated thrust vector. No fractures determined. The bio. No parti? Quindi niente?
I checked every coil on the port nacelle for imbalances. If any coil in either engine were cracked, I would have detected it. So, it must be the navigation array.
Except it's not. Checked and double-checked.
Well, the readings don't lie.
Here comes the security detail for the way team.
Hey.
I'm not here.
We're escorting the negotiating team to the surface as soon as they come down from the bridge.
Questa fa una brutta
I
fine,
don't want to
ragazzi.
interrupt some important work. I was just hoping to see you before I go. The captain and the others will be here any minute now. Should be an interesting ride down to the surface.
You're the one with the important job to do. Keeping the captain safe. And Ambassador Spock.
It doesn't always feel that way. Baking in the hot sun, standing guard next to an empty shuttlecraft. But it has its moments.
Hey, Maris. Aren't these those button pushers you're always hanging out with?
And you're the phaser jockeys we always beat in Parisi squares, right?
All aboard for Hotari.
That another one of the captain's railroad things?
Gotta be. I just usually zone out by the time he gets to the whole, steam engines were the warp drives of their day part. Catch y'all later.
You don't want to miss your train.
I do have to go. Not gonna lie, I'd rather not leave right now.
Siamo spagnoleggianti, siamo calienti. Kiss her. Questo sarebbe un bacio? Mamma mia, non hanno mosso i modelli neanche da una frazione di secondo. Il loro primo bacio davanti a una navetta distrutta dentro un hangar. Che romantici. E lei muore. Chiaramente muore. L'altra è incazzata nera.
If you could float back down to reality, we still have a ways to go. All right, where were we?
So, the warp coils in the navigation array are fine, but the nav computer doesn't seem to think so.
I'm out of ideas short of field stripping this shuttle from bow to stern.
You wanna take this out of the shuttle and throw it on the bench?
Oh, real hands-on maintenance. I like it. Okay, the nav computer is patched into the ship.
The ship's computer can double check our work.
Oh cazzo, ora
The shuttle's
facciamo un
nav computer's
casino.
putting out false data. We'll know it.
Let's run through the shuttle's logs again.
Scusate, questi due hanno preso un computer chiaramente malfunzionante che ha mandato in avaria il sistema di navigazione e di propulsione della navetta, lo hanno preso e l'hanno incollato nel computer di tutta la nave.
Running now.
Ah no, è una simulazione, ok, scusate.
Same. Warp field inversion and a cascade failure. However, the Resolute computer doesn't show the same subspace variance.
We're in the same conditions that the shuttle was in when it failed. Why wouldn't the ship's computer get a matching result?
What if the subspace variance was a momentary occurrence?
That's a possibility, and it would explain why the simulation under our current sensor readings failed to reproduce the issue.
But a subspace anomaly strong enough to cause a warp field collapse would leave graviton ripples for days.
Let's run with the momentary subspace variance theory for now. Roll forward to the shuttle's attempt to re-engage the warp drive. We need the conditions of space around the shuttle at the moment of warp failure.
Resuming simulation.
Error in warp field calculation. Cochrane formula variables are out of range.
That right there. Take the shuttle sensor data from that moment.
Computer, why did the warp field calculation fail?
Warp field pressure return non-orthogonal. Results are undefined.
That doesn't help.
Wait, what if we use a different ship?
Put the Resolute into the simulation instead of the shuttle.
Yeah, it should warp just fine. Unless... Computer, run the simulation with the Resolute.
Resolute simulated.
Computer, give me manual control on the warp power.
Static field intensity, warp 1.1. 1.2. 1.3. Warp pressure is destabilizing. Error in warp field calculation. The warp drive has experienced a system-wide cascade failure. Warp field collapsed. Subspace variance is out of tolerance. Cochrane formula results are undefined.
Bingo.
What-o?
The same moment when the shuttle failed to warp, so did the ship. Whatever happened to the shuttle just happened to us. The Resolute will not sustain warp.
We can't leave Hotari space.
Ambassador Spock, Captain Solano, welcome to Hotari. We are honored you have come. My name is Tyler Saltaris, Minister of Diplomatic Affairs.
The honor is ours, and this is Commander Jara Rydick, first officer aboard the USS Resolute. You'll find she has a keen mind, and unique insight into the dynamics between the Hotari and the Illydians.
We are honored to be here as representatives of the Federation.
I'm so glad.
These must be the representatives of the mighty Federation, the reigning authority in the galaxy. Or so we've been led to believe. Whether that's true or not remains to be seen. But, either way, we're grateful you've made the time to come to our little corner of the universe.
And you are?
This is Galvin, and this is Citron, the heroes of the revolt in the mines.
Let's hope this is the last time we ever have to come here.
If you'll excuse me.
Questo design di alieno l'ho già visto io.
I think we're about to begin.
ricorda
Did you hear the
qualcosa.
arrogance from that guy? I don't know what we're walking into here, but that guy was something.
That may be true. But let's keep an open mind going into the negotiations. Hopefully he's just one voice amongst many.
Then let's hope he's the outlier.
The Hotari have invited us as their guests, so we must show them the proper respect.
Sì, Black, stiamo salvando la galassia. Non c'è un tavolo? E ora ci chiedono cosa dobbiamo fare? Da un inchinetto. No, deferenza.
Ambassador Spock, welcome to Hotari Prime.
Carini, hanno
The
4
honor is
dita.
mine, Your Majesty.
That the Federation would send one of their most respected representatives is not only an honor to the Hotari people and their queen, but a recognition of our stature and importance.
Let's get on with it, shall we? With all due respect to the Federation and their ambassador, they have no authority here. We are not members of their alliance. We are not subject to their rule, nor yours. We demand the immediate return of all mining operations to Elydian control, as it has been for centuries and will be for centuries more. That has always been our understanding.
That understanding has changed.
Then you invite war.
And if you cannot remain silent, you will be silenced. But his point is well taken. What is the Federation's interest in this matter? Perhaps you would have us trade one oppressor for another?
The Federation remains neutral. Our only interest is the peaceful resolution of this conflict. We are here at your request, Your Majesty.
For now.
I'm trying to keep an open mind here, but it's not easy. I thought they wanted us here.
Was there something you wanted to say, Captain?
Oh, no. My apologies.
And what about the Kobliad?
She's not
She
part
can
of...
speak for herself, can't she? Then let her.
Che sta a fare? Dove vai? Sta ferma. È una regina.
Now then, what is your name?
Commander Jara Rydek, Your Majesty.
Being a Kobliad, you would know better than anyone. Your people suffered brutal treatment at the hands of the Cardassians. Their injustice towards the Kobliad is as unimaginable as it is unforgivable. Not unlike how we have been treated by the Elydians.
As much as they'd have you believe they are the victims here, remember it was the Hotari who attacked us. Hundreds of innocent Elydians were slaughtered without mercy in those mines.
The blood is on their hands, not ours.
Quiet! If after all the Kobliad suffered, you finally had the chance to right that wrong, to get out from under their control, would you take it? Or would you negotiate a peace?
There is no remedy for what the Kobliad suffered. And I fear who we might have become in pursuit of it. There is no justice if the oppressed become the oppressor. So I would willingly accept a peaceful resolution if it were offered. That is the real opportunity.
Perhaps, Commander Rydek. Perhaps. Unfortunately, that was not the case, was it?
No, it was not.
Peace is often elusive to those who need it most. The Federation is the most powerful, most advanced alliance in the galaxy. It's widely known we have an abundance of dilithium in our mines. And it's in your interest to secure a steady supply.
Your Majesty, if I may.
Ambassador Spock would have us believe you're here as a neutral party in the interest of peace. So why are you really here? I want the truth, not your Federation rhetoric.
As Ambassador Spock has said, we've come seeking a peaceful resolution to this conflict, and have no interest in your dilithium.
I'm not nearly as naive as you must think. The Federation has done business with the Illydians for decades, which makes me question your motives.
What they haven't said, but cannot deny, is a simple truth. The dilithium trade would not and will no longer exist without Illydian involvement. We created it for the benefit of everyone, especially the Hotari. We've given them warp technology.
Però ho rispettato il personaggio dell'ufficiale federale che ci crede davvero.
All of that goes away if the Federation turns a blind eye to their treachery.
That is enough of your lies! The Hotari are quite capable of running the mines. We've done so for centuries. So tell me, who deserves control of the dilithium trade and the mines on Tau? Who should the Federation recognize? The Hotari or the Illydians?
Io non rispondo.
One or the other, not both.
No, both. Noi, le prendiamo noi, sono nostre. Dai, non... che cavolo però. Facciamo contenta la regina o gli antipatici qua? Sì, penso anch'io che risponderò agli Otari, perché la regina è un Otari e comunque se questa cosa dell'anomalia è stata generata da loro, a loro vantaggio, finché non ce li teniamo buoni, quegli altri non possono fare nulla. Ecco, scegliamo a tutti, Black.
If I have to choose only one, then it would have to be the Hotari.
Well said. How could the just and wise Federation make any other choice?
This is an outrage. The Federation has lost all credibility.
The mines are ours. Lydia will not be deterred. We will take back our mines by any means necessary.
Then you will see more blood spilled.
I am more than willing to address your concerns, Your Majesty. Yours as well, Representative. But I suggest we could have a more productive conversation with a smaller group. Perhaps only the most essential representatives.
I suppose there is some sense to that. I hope we meet again, Jara Ryder.
Spock and I will cover everything on the diplomatic front. You make nice with the locals and see if you can get some answers. We need to find out why the Hotari are so willing to risk war. What happened in those mines?
Ok, e ora parte la parte investigativa. Posso parlare con la guardia? La guardia steampunk qua? No. Bello il fucile però, tutto brilloso. Guarda bello, tutto brillantoso. È bello, bello il fucile. Posso camminare sull'acqua? No, non sono Gesù. Questo è isolato, partiamo da... divide e timpera, dai. Questo è uno che la sa. Questo guarda...
Such rough terrain. No wonder the Hotari are so tough.
No, ok, è bloccato lì. Va bene, pensavo che... Allora, da donna a donna? O partiamo da quello che ci odia? Sidron, beh, è un bel nome. Ma mi sto chiedendo, secondo voi queste cose che ha sulla fronte sono rocce abbellitive o sono scaglie o sono ossi? Cioè, è già morto. Dai, parliamo con...
Commander, I'm glad you've chosen to side with the Hotari. I knew the Federation would see through the Elidians' baseless claims and protect the interests of my people.
The Hotari have suffered enough at the hands of the Elidians.
Facciamo finta di stare con tutti.
I assume you were there the day the mines were seized from the Elidians.
Not seized, reclaimed, and restored to their rightful owners. Yes, I was there. We had to be decisive, before the Elidians could even realize their worst nightmares upon them.
I'm curious why the Elidians haven't fought back. They have the ability to retake the mines anytime they want.
Ability is one thing, courage is another. The Elidians know any hostile action on their part will not end well. They respect one thing above all else, and that is force. The greater the force, the more certain the outcome. Any talk of making peace is just that, and worth little without the strength to secure it. Which makes me wonder about your ship, the Resolute. Undoubtedly the Federation's finest warship. Ready to contend with anything the Elidians might have in store. Or is that not true? Maybe I've misjudged it.
It wasn't designed as a warship. More for scientific research and exploration.
But the Federation must have ships designed for war.
Technically, they're Starfleet ships representing the Federation. But yes.
I see.
Sidron.
A pleasure meeting you, Commander. I'm sure we'll cross paths again.
Però non ci ha aiutato molto questo discorso. Anzi, abbiamo rivelato più noi a lui. Scusa. Acqua. Apprezzo l'acqua.
Soothing.
Ok. E parliamo con questa signorina qua. Tilas.
Commander Rydek, I'm encouraged to see the Federation supporting my people. I'm afraid of what might happen without your help.
I'm glad to hear it. I just hope you're not the only one who feels that way.
I apologize for that. These are unusual times, to say the least. Much is changing. I saw you speaking with Sidron, our national hero. I'm curious, what did he say?
He seems to be of the opinion that negotiating for peace is a waste of time.
Because force is the only blunt instrument he understands. He's a miner, not a diplomat. For the first time in our history, the Hotari have the upper hand. We see ourselves as strong.
E il perché che dobbiamo capire.
New voices have risen up. Old voices shouted down. Galvin and Sidron have become national heroes. Now, they have the Queen's ear. Better or worse, depending on your perspective.
I take it they're against a negotiated peace with the Illidians.
Heroes tend to want more of what made them heroic. If it were up to them, they'd wage all-out war and bring ruin upon us all. My fear has been that the Illidians will launch an attack and crush us. You've seen their starship, no doubt. They could have retaken the mines whenever they wanted to, but it never happened. And as strange as this may sound, I'd almost say they're afraid. I just don't know what they're afraid of. It's still the same bluster and bravado you would expect from them.
L'Aerostorm?
Like they're afraid of what might happen.
Do you think it has something to do with the Ion Storm? Right now, it's stronger than ever, isn't it?
It's entirely possible. I'm not a scientist, but I do know the storm has knocked out all kinds of systems. So maybe the Illidians weren't willing to risk their ships, given all the interference. Since the day of the revolt, Galvin has seized control of the mines and restricted all access. No one's allowed without his personal authorization. And they've taken over a section of the palace with just as much secrecy and security. I'm told it could be something they brought back from the mines. I've made inquiries, but everyone pretends it doesn't exist. I strongly suspect they're hiding something.
Are you sure of this?
It's been the talk of the palace since the day of the revolt.
How can we know?
Bella mascherina.
I'd better see what's happening.
Do you think you can find out what they're hiding? I need to see proof of something before I can make my case to the Federation.
I can try, but even if I found it, I might not know what to make of it.
Take this. You can use it to capture whatever you find, and then send it to me.
E la facciamo ammazzare. Vai!
Thank you. I will let you know what I find. And I look forward to our meeting again.
Sorry, I couldn't help but notice you were speaking with the Hotari this whole time. I figured in the interest of fairness, I should offer another perspective.
Of course.
I'm probably not telling you anything you don't already know, but these negotiations rely on the Federation's neutrality, as does any hope you might have for a supply of dilithium in the future. So, why you would choose to side with the Hotari escapes me. Without Illidian involvement, there is no dilithium trade. But clearly, you weren't aware.
Of all my concerns, dilithium is not one of them. I could care less about securing a supply, now or in the future.
I'd be curious to know if the rest of the Federation shares your indifference. Major Solid Arminta, Special Attaché, Illidian Armed Forces. Pleasure to meet you, Commander. I have my issues with the Hotari, but I have to give them some credit. They know how to seize an opportunity. Inciting an uprising the same day as a massive, once-in-a-lifetime ion storm.
Our assumption was that this storm was just an anomaly.
Yes, a very convenient anomaly. At least that was what we were told. Of course, I wasn't there. But who am I to say otherwise?
Lasciamolo parlare.
Well, the official story is that it was the storm that enabled the revolt. How else do a bunch of unarmed, unorganized miners seize control of an entire moon, much less thousands of mines? But I've talked to people who were there. They tell a different story. They say they're lucky to have escaped with their lives. That it was more than just the storm. That somehow the miners were able to harness the energy from the storm. I know it sounds crazy. I'm not even sure I believe it myself. But that's what they said.
You just answered your own question. How do a group of miners do something that in theory can't be done? That's how. Harnessing the storm.
But even if it's true, how does that even happen?
You tell me.
If you'll excuse me, Commander Ryder.
Abbiamo scoperto qualcosa, davvero? Dov'è il comandante Solano lì? Corra, corra!
Well, that was a disaster.
What happened?
The Hotari refused to concede anything, so the Illidians stormed out.
The Hotari did not invite us here as peacekeepers. I hope your efforts were more fruitful than ours.
Gravitational harmonics failing to resolve. Warp bubble stability degrading. Increase output to maximum.
Increasing warp output to maximum.
It's happening again.
It is evident that presently, the Resolute cannot achieve warp propulsion.
Since our diagnostics rule out any problems with our warp systems or anything about the ship, the problem appears to be the fabric of space itself.
Space itself? You're saying something about this region of space prevents warp travel?
Prevents it, or can't sustain it.
However improbable, that appears to be the case.
We need to know more.
The storm didn't stop us from leaving space dock and traveling here. But could it still be causing this interference with warp travel?
We must follow sound investigatory principles. Do not let an assumed conclusion drive your analysis.
Sometimes we need a little inspired thinking, Mr. Chovak. Captain Solano is on his way back from the negotiations, and I want to have some answers for him when he gets here.
Indeed. Given the facts at hand, we may be able to deploy subspace probes around the ship to construct a clearer picture of the phenomenon.
Around the ship. I'll prep a shuttle.
Il metodo scientifico. Ma ribadisco, il teletrasporto non esiste in questo mondo. È il coglionazzo.
I'm setting up a waypoint at a distance roughly corresponding to the edge of our warp field. When we get there, I'll deploy the first probe.
Oh, pilotiamo uno shuttle.
Commander Westbrook, the Resolute systems are calibrated to receive the probe's readings. We are standing by to reproduce the warp field collapse after the first probe is deployed.
Thank you, Mr. Chovak. We'll be in position shortly.
And, Mr. Diaz, do take care in piloting the shuttlecraft. Now is not the time to indulge in the human penchant for joyriding.
Chovak probably isn't such a fun guy to work for, huh?
I just don't take it personally. At least I try not to.
That's a very mature answer. Shows a positive attitude on your part. Remind me of it when I start complaining to you about the ship's new first officer. This is far enough.
No, dai.
Transporting the first probe into position. Westbrook here. The first probe is deployed.
Understood. We are reading it. We are about to replay the simulation.
Problem?
I just can't get a handle on her. Commander Rydek. She rejected my plan to use a deflector pulse against the storm surge. But on the other, she did listen to my advice and use the whole polarity trick to get you through that excursion alive. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the new XO. I'm sure she's a fine officer, even if we don't see eye to eye. But she didn't go through what the rest of us did. You know that. And it's hard to figure out why she'd be the one Solano chose instead of, well, one of us.
Diamogli una possibilità. So.
I've heard some good things. You should at least give her a chance.
I'll take that under advisement.
Test is running. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1, mark.
Whoa.
All right, that is definitely a problem with the fabric of space. We need to get another probe out there. With 2 points of data, the Resolute and the probe, we've managed to get an interference pattern. I'm setting a waypoint to a particularly strong area of interference. We'll deploy the second probe there. Listen, I'm gonna give you a piece of advice I wish someone had given me. Make sure you're never just one thing. And don't get so focused on what's in front of your face that you lose sight of the big picture. Before Rydek showed up, the captain pulled me into his ready room and told me he didn't think I had the people skills to be first officer. What a load of crap. I mean, if he'd said that about Chovak, sure.
Is that why you're being so friendly to me? Politics?
That would be clever, but I think you give me more credit than the captain does. You're all right, Diaz. And you've got potential. You're a capable engineer. You're good in the field. Keep up the good work, and who knows? A solid jack of all departments like you could be Commander-in-Chief of Starfleet one day. Hell, Admiral Jellicoe started as a shuttle pilot. And there are places to go in the enlisted ranks, too. Of course, if you get an
Siamo felici dove siamo.
I don't know. I'm pretty happy where I am.
You must be a glutton for punishment. Lieutenant Commander Chovak has been known to take decades to warm up to people. Here. This is close enough. Stop the engines. Deploying the probe. Westbrook to Commander Chovak. We're ready for another sampling of data.
E ora succede un disastro.
Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1.
There it is again.
I saw it. It seems to be directional.
Well, what about the scans? Anything?
Non mi far mettere un'altra terza prova.
Here's the readings in relation to our local space. We've got the Resolute, Otari Prime, and the probes.
All this interference is overloading the sensor buffers. We're gonna have to triangulate the sensors manually.
Locate interference peak. Sì. Whoa! Whoa!
We got something.
These markers indicate peaks in the gravimetric interference patterns.
Let's see if I can find some more.
Vengono dalla luna.
This is coming from the moon.
A beam that blocks warp travel.
Aimed right at us.
Someone is doing this intentionally. I don't know how they're doing it. This is like nothing I've ever seen.
Why would they be doing this? We came here to help these people. And now we're getting hit by some warp-killing weapon?
Now, look here. It's current readings of the ion storm.
These concentrations, they line up with the interference pattern. The storm and this beam, they're coming from the same place.
Carter, whatever petty local conflict brought us here, it's just a small part of something much bigger. Presently, we don't have an explanation for how they're doing this. One thing is clear. This is no fluke.
Thank you, Mr. Westbrook. I want a full briefing when I'm back on board. Solano out. A targeted weapon that inhibits warp travel. Coming from the moon Tau.
That would explain the difficulties my shuttle encountered. More importantly, the tenor of the Hotari during the negotiations.
And here I thought the Illidians would be the problem. Coming to peace talks in a warship. This wasn't supposed to be so complicated.
For all their posturing, every indication is that the Illidians are afraid of the Hotari. They didn't bring their warship as a threat. They brought it because they're scared.
From everything we witnessed, I would say that is highly likely.
But what are they afraid of?
Tylus, the Hotari representative, said she thought they found something in the mines. Galvin and Sidron brought it back to the palace, but they're keeping it under tight security. She's going to investigate it. I gave her my tricorder. I expect she'll contact us soon.
You found an ally.
Why would Tylus help us? Go behind her people's back? It's a fair question, considering.
She doesn't like the way Galvin and Sidron have been manipulating the situation. And the Queen. Working with us to go around them isn't the same as betraying her people.
That may be true.
She's certainly more likely to help than the other Hotari we've met.
That raises another question. Specifically, what do the other Hotari have to gain in bringing us here, only to make this hostile maneuver against us? There must be some motivation.
Unless they changed their minds between when they asked and when we got here.
Sidron was very curious when we spoke outside the Queen's chamber. He wanted to know all about us, our ship, the Federation. He wasn't giving any answers. He was looking for them.
Well, I'm sure you didn't tell him too much. I don't think the Illidians know what's really down on that moon either.
Major Armintas said the revolt defied explanation. That the Hotari miners somehow harnessed the energy of the storm.
Harness the energy of the storm?
Doing that is beyond even our capabilities.
So is a weapon that disrupts warp travel.
There have been civilizations and entities, both past and present, far more technologically advanced than the Federation.
The Illidians and Hotari don't fall into that category.
But that is all the more reason to investigate further.
Commander Rydek, sorry to interrupt. We've received an urgent call from Hotari. The Queen's advisor, Tylus, has asked to speak with you.
Put her through.
Galvin and Sidron are still with the Queen. I've enlisted help to gain access to the room they have under guard. I don't have much time.
I'm not supposed to leave my post.
It's only for a moment. I so appreciate your help.
Muore malissimo.
I found something. I'm sending you a scan.
Got it. Tylus, If we needed to gain access to the mines on Tau, is that something you could help us with?
I suppose it wouldn't be easy, but I have to go.
Tylus.
Addio, Tylus. Non la chiamare, che magari gli suona il telefono e la beccano.
We can only hope she escaped without harm.
It was hard to tell.
Proviamo a aiutarla.
Send another shuttle.
We're not doing anything yet. Not until we know more. Let's see the scan of whatever the hell that was.
Tylus suspects this came from the mines on Tau.
It appears to be of ancient origin, but the markings are unfamiliar.
We can run a full analysis when we get back to the Resolute. But if this came from the mines, then it might be the key to how they got the upper hand against the Lydians.
Then we have to go into the mines.
The Federation would not allow that. But we're, after all, sent here to be a neutral party in a peace negotiation. However, we could demonstrate that the Hotari have acted in bad faith, which would enable us to investigate the mines on Tau with full justification. But of course, we would need conclusive proof before taking action. Otherwise, it could put us in a difficult position.
What the Federation doesn't know won't hurt them. If I do it right, nobody will know I was there.
Commander, I'm surprised at you.
We may have a better understanding once we analyze the device. But a mission to the mines, covert or otherwise, is not out of the question. And I will handle the Federation.
As I was telling Carter, I want all the data I can get on this warp problem. And the negotiating team's shuttle has been recording data all the way back from Hotari. Even better than our probes. So pull the sensor and engine ISOs from the Melville when it sets down.
Will do.
I'll join you and Chovak down in engineering to run another analysis after the briefing.
I didn't like this warp problem when we thought it was some astronomical anomaly. And I like it a hell of a lot less now that we know someone is doing it to us. How does it work? What do we even do about it?
What do you say we pull these chips and find out?
Took some damage on the way. That ionic interference scored the hull plating. Might be some micro welds. Let's try pulling together.
All right.
3, 2, 1. It won't budge. Gotta be the storm damage. We need to... Welcome back. Any excitement down on the surface?
Excitement? No. Nothing like that.
Hey, can you hand me the EJ7 interlock? From the toolbox.
I don't know what that is.
Not much use for one on a security detail, huh? Carter?
Yeah, I'll get it.
Perché io lo so, vero? È questo, chiaramente. Ma sì, sono geloso, cioè, proprio... Però io non mi aspetterei, cioè... Be professional. Be professional.
Okay, I'll apply pressure while you decouple the panel.
Here, I'll help.
Ora si fa del male e muore.
We've got this.
Open up and say ah.
Thanks for the hand. We have to get these isolinear chips down to engineering.
No problem. You really know know everything about these ships, don't you? The tools, the systems. Like a walking Starfleet technical manual.
Engineer is cool now.
Oh, I thought security was the detail to be on. Now all of a sudden you're interested in engineering?
Just the engineer.
Come on, start pulling chips.
È proprio gelosa. Le prova tutte. Le prova tutte per dar fastidio. Ok. Quale vuoi? Questo? Va bene, te lo prendo. Poi quale vuoi? Questo? Te lo prendo. Poi? Li vuoi tutti? Non mi dire che li vuoi tutti, ti prego. Li vuole tutti. Oh! Dannazione, è caduto. Oh, guarda, c'è qualcosa qui.
Some kind of crystal formation?
Oh. Facciamo uno scan.
Whoa. This substance is a quantized spin crystallization of
Oh,
hydrogen
signore.
carbon lithium. It's emitting tetrametric pulses at an interval
Firestorm
of
Fox, ci
3.842
sei?
seconds.
Quantized crystallization isn't natural. I mean, it's only theoretical as a means to engineer matter on a subatomic level. What's it doing in there?
Sì, li faccio addormentare.
Wait. Regulation 364, subsection 9.
What?
Regulation 364, subsection 9 orders that in the case of an unknown foreign substance infiltrating a sealed system, it will be placed in secure confinement before further examination. Retrieve a containment module.
Don't you think we're more equipped to deal with whatever this is?
No. Before anything else, this is a security issue. You don't even know what this is.
Which is why we need to study it.
Once it's contained.
Just leave it there for now. Messing around with it could be dangerous. At least until we know more.
That's exactly why we need to get it to the containment lab. I can't make an exception just for you.
I'm still going to report these crystals to Commander West.
D'altronde, se uno è desideroso di attenzione a questo livello.
When we send the shuttle data.
And I will inform my superiors. I'm taking this just as seriously as you are. But I overheard talk about the warp disruption on the shuttle. Now these crystals? Maybe this situation is more than we can handle with just a science vessel. We could trigger a distress call, get Starfleet to send more ships. Or I could send a message to my old CO on the Adirondack. Get some combat-tested vessels. We shouldn't do this alone.
Ho perso completamente il filo, ragazzi, non ho idea di che cosa rispondere. Siamo da soli qui. Assomiglia a un ammutinamento. Se pensi di potere. Idee, suggerimenti? Eravate più attenti di me? No, dalle mie Bach si dice coglione e basta, non è che... Sì, penso anch'io uno è il più neutro.
We're at the edge of the quadrant. Help isn't just gonna pop over like we're in Sector 001.
Wouldn't hurt to try.
You talk like you've never had your backs up against a wall before. This is Starfleet. We solve our own problems.
Okay, stand back. Get this to the containment lab. We'll get it set up for you. I'll let you know when it's safely confined.
Oh, we'll be there.
Last thing you want is to study this down in main engineering and have it explode next to the warp core. almost forgot.
Can't have that.
E ora ti giri di là e c'è il diavolo.
For a second, I thought she'd gone cold on you. Like she
No?
might have changed her mind. But I guess this whole situation has her spooked. Maybe she knows more than us? Or it's because this is all happening so fast? But she usually doesn't scare easy.
Of course she's taking it seriously, but that's her job. If she's on duty, she's got to be on the lookout for danger.
Yeah, but talking about sending a distress call on her own? That's going too far. She was probably just thinking out loud. I'm sure she'll come to her senses. This mission has enough complications stacking up.
Now, we'll get through it. You, me, and Miranda too.
È lui che punta al triangolo qua. Ragazzi, io in realtà sapete che, visto che è appena iniziato un nuovo capitolo, vedrei quello che abbiamo fatto, è quasi mezzanotte, e con sommo rammarico di tutti voi cercherei di capire come si salva e chiuderei, anche perché domani è comunque un giorno di lavoro. A parte l'inizio che mi ha veramente terrorizzato con la storia del gamepad e tutto, è giocabilino con... dai Renzo, è giocabilino con la tastiera. Spero... non ho capito come l'ho settata, perché all'inizio non era settato per la tastiera, però evidentemente... Comunque, vediamo un attimino i rapporti di Yara e di Carter, quindi tanto abbiamo capito che sono i due protagonisti che seguiremo per tutto il gioco. Allora, Yara, il capitano Solano ha apprezzato il modo in cui ci siamo abbiamo espresso preoccupazione riguardo a qualunque pericolo Tilas potrebbe incontrare aiutando la federazione. Tilas. What? Non è frenetico, no. Anche quando c'era scritto Mira temevo che... qui apprezza la leadership che abbiamo dimostrato e ha apprezzato anche il fatto che abbiamo cercato di spiegare la complessità della situazione delle morse di attracco al capitano Solano quando c'è stato l'incidente. E ha apprezzato il fatto che abbiamo scelto una sua opzione quando c'era una situazione di crisi. L'ambasciatore Spock ha ammirato la diplomazia che abbiamo mostrato. Itsuki 87, ma grazie del raid, benvenuti. Stiamo chiudendo. Comunque benvenuti, e visto che ci siamo... Raidino, grazie del raidino. E sto cercando di... Vediamo se funziona. The Raid Valley. Ah, ne ho sentito parlare. Ne ho sentito parlare. Non sono un amante di quel tipo di giochi, ma ne ho sentito parlare molto bene.
Dai, Alice, sali su. Ora me ne sto buono. Ho giusto una torcia al centro per ricordare.
Purtroppo sì, stiamo facendo il riassunto finale e poi chiudiamo perché a mezzanotte
Spari.
Ma comunque benvenuti a tutti. Magari cerchiamo anche qualcun altro da raidare dopo, dai. Tra l'altro io non ho sentito l'audio della clip, spero che voi l'abbiate sentito. E chiedo feedback ai moderatori e non moderatori che sono online stasera sull'audio della clip. È vero che ci stavo parlando sopra, quindi... Audio ok. Ok. Quindi ha apprezzato la nostra diplomazia essenzialmente. Il comandante Westbrook è stato impressionato dalla leadership, anche lui, durante l'incidente delle morse di attracco, e ha apprezzato anche lui il fatto che abbiamo cercato di spiegare la complessità della situazione al capitano. È stato grato che noi, praticamente la nostra protagonista, non abbia seguito gli ordini del capitano in quel momento. Il comando Urmot, anche lui, stesse parole essenzialmente. Stesse parole, ci rispetta per l'uso dell'approccio razionale durante la situazione di rischio. Il dottore mi sembra aver capito che invece apprezzi il fatto che siamo un po' contro la direzione del capitano, è stata incoraggiata e ci incoraggia a pensare indipendentemente. È una clip scelta a random tra le presenti nel tuo canale e che ho usato un bottino, un piccolo bot, è associata quando faccio lo shoutout, prende casualmente una clip dal canale del raidante. Mi sembrava carina, se è un canale che non conosco e che in chat non si conosce. A volte, come nel caso delle mie clip, le clip sono terrificanti perché la mia chat è terrificante nello scegliere i momenti da clippare. Ogni riferimento a un Harry è puramente casuale e qui apparirà la clip fatta da Harry mentre nomino Harry, però appunto può essere carino dare un'occhiata a quello che fanno gli altri quando arrivano a fare il raid. Sì, topici, sì, nel senso dei roditori, chic. Scegliete i momenti topici in quel senso. Siete fantasmatopici. Ok, spero di non aver tirato fuori dall'armadio cose che non volevo. Non l'ho scelta io, l'ha scelta il bot. Siamo rattici, siete molto rattici. Questo invece non approva, niente, via, non ci approva, proprio non gli piacciamo e via. Questo non l'abbiamo più incontrato in realtà, non so che ruolo abbia nella storia, ma rimane la frase dell'inizio del gioco praticamente. No, è colpa vostra che non clippate i momenti topici. Oggettivamente chic, ultimamente di clip sul canale non ne esistono. Pochissime, rare, alcune le ho fatte io, ma quindi vuol dire o che non apprezzate i miei momenti topici o non sapete cliccare sul pulsante delle clip. Ma a proposito delle clip, dove si possono riguardare? Black, vai nella pagina del sottoscritto su Twitch e a video, nell'elenco, quando vai su video, com'è che ti nomino e riappari, Harry, però? Cioè, vabbè. Tra i video puoi scegliere anche di vedere le clip e vedi le clip del canale. E le vedi tutte, le puoi ordinare tra le più viste o quelle in ordine di tempo. Per quanto riguarda il nostro amico Carter, il donnaiolo, lei è chiaramente gelosa del rapporto con Maris. Carter è sospettoso. Non è vero. Eccolo l'Henry impermaloso. Ah, questo ci approva adesso. Adesso ci approva. Ok. E questo si è divertito, ha apprezzato la conversazione sullo shuttle. E poi c'è un personaggio che non abbiamo ancora incontrato. Potrebbe essere Spock. No, non è Spock. Sto cercando di riconoscere il profilo, ma non lo riconosco. Va bene. Allora, vediamo un po' se c'è un modo per salvare. Non qui. Quindi forse basta tornare nel main menu. Sapete che mi diverto molto se adesso perdiamo tutti i salvataggi, cioè tutti i progressi fino adesso? Ok, no, va bene. E Choices cosa mi fa vedere? Robe, non so. Non so, scopriremo un giorno. Una live di 54 ore. Sì, ti mando mia moglie a casa con una mazza da baseball e provvederà alla tua rieducazione. Signori, cerchiamo qualcuno da raidare, anche perché abbiamo ricevuto un raid e quindi è carino non lasciare i nuovi arrivati proprio completamente a bocca asciutta, ma appunto ho citato la moglie, dobbiamo andare a Nanna. Vediamo un po' se per caso non ci fosse qualcuno che lo sta giocando o ce lo spoileriamo, che dite? Beh, io non rimango, ve lo spoilerate voi, nel caso. Vediamo se c'è qualcuno che lo sta giocando. Ah, c'è qualcuno che lo sta giocando, perfetto. E c'è qualcuno che è più indietro di noi, credo, quindi... perfetto. Così chi è arrivato da poco ha l'opportunità di vedere questo gioco dall'inizio. E quindi andiamo. Ok. Preparo il raid. E signori, ci vediamo venerdì sera. Forse un po' tardino, ok? Quindi World of Warships forse un po' tardino perché sul lavoro finiamo tardi, potremmo iniziare anche verso le 9:30, 10. Vediamo come va, perché è un turno di lavoro strano e quindi non so davvero che cosa potrà succedere. Però ci proviamo, comunque sicuramente al massimo a mezzanotte, ma ci vediamo venerdì. Lunga vita e prosperità. Ciao.